Well, as lawmakers and education leaders in Oklahoma continue their efforts to eliminate woke ideology and indoctrination from public schools in their state, some textbook publishers have read the writing on the wall, and they've retreated. Knowing that questionable content throughout their material would fail to pass the state's rigorous new standard of review, these vendors have withdrawn their books from consideration for use. So, simply by conducting rigorous scrutiny of textbooks to eliminate woke indoctrination, schools in Oklahoma are allowed to focus on, guess what? The solid fundamentals of education. Joining me now to discuss this is Oklahoma State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Ryan Walters. Ryan, welcome back to the program.
Sure, appreciate you having me on, Tony. And, you know, it's amazing what happens when you speak clearly and you hold folks accountable. And we have been very clear. We are not going to allow indoctrination in our classroom. We're going to get back to a focus on the basics. And hey, vendors, if you can't do that, you can go sell your product in California. But, you know, Gavin Newsom will welcome you with open arms. But here in Oklahoma, our parents have spoken loudly and clearly. Get the woke ideology out. Help our kids learn to read and do math, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Well, to me, it's like, turning the light on and you're seeing all these little furry things scurry, running away, because you're actually scrutinizing what's in those textbooks. And they've been able to basically get a pass. Nobody's really looked at it to give or shown much concern about the woke ideology. But now Oklahoma and hopefully some other states are really shining the light on this.
You know, and that's what you've seen is these vendors continue to bully states into pushing this ideology. You know, what they do is, hey, they create these textbooks in New York or LA, and they say, listen, you know, we've got a lot of customers here, and if you don't like it, that's fine. We're not going to change what we're doing. But our state legislature and our great governor, Kevin Stitt, we passed laws that said, look, we're not going to do critical race theory in the classroom. We passed rules here at the State Board of Education. We're not going to allow all this sexualized material into the classroom either. And we were very clear with vendors, we're not going to do it. And what you see is, again, and Tony, it's a multifaceted effort to get this ideology out of schools. Number one, you got to go get it out of your public schools. You have to do that. But number two, you've got to get more of an ability for kids to go to private and Christian schools if their parents want them to. And so we have the first Christian charter school in the country that's going to open up here in Oklahoma. And I mean, again, you know, what's funny is, you know, these Christian schools, you're not going to see them wanting to go push some kind of radical atheist ideology. And so you got to get this garbage out of the public schools, but also give parents the opportunity to send their kids to Christian schools so that you know that your kid is going to have a great education and not have this type of left-wing ideology in their day-to-day school.
It's almost like we're going to have textbooks for red states and textbooks for blue states, because more and more of red state governors, legislatures, and now, thankfully, this is something new we never really thought we would have, is superintendents like yourself who've come into this arena and are addressing these issues. So, and I would think with today's technology and the way books are published, it would be a lot easier to do than it would have been, say, 30, 40 years ago when you had to have those hardback printed textbooks.
You know, that's exactly what I told our textbook committee. I go, guys, there's plenty of great materials out there. I mean, there is plenty of conservatives and Christians that are putting together materials. There's so much available online. Again, the left lost their mind here in Oklahoma when we made Prager University available statewide for every student, for every parent across the state. And we said, listen, there's plenty of great material out there that talk about our founding. There's plenty of great math material that can help students read on grade level. We're never going to be held captive by woke companies trying to dictate to our state what our education system is going to look like. So, and this is a path for other states to follow. Guys, lead on this issue. Don't allow the left to capture these kids. They are truly pushing state-sponsored atheism in our schools by pushing all this indoctrination in math classes. I mean, what in the world can be their explanation for pushing this in math classes? And it shows you their end goal here too, by the way. So if you're in if they're willing to cut off customers, right? They're willing to say, well, we're not going to do business in red states. They're actually hurting their bottom dollar but they don't care. They are on a spiritual war path for our kids. Their mission is to create socialist left-wing ideologues out of our kids.
You know, Superintendent Walters, I mean, I think that is so on target, because many people ask the same thing about corporate America. Why are these big corporations willing to lose all this money? This is not a good business proposition. But it's not about business. It used to be, you know, boycotts would make a difference because it was about the bottom line being the dollar. It's not the case anymore. These are ideologically driven corporation companies, textbooks, as you said, trying to indoctrinate our children.
And look, you know, the radical left-wing ideology, this woke mind virus, it's a cult. I mean, you look at their belief system, they'll hurt themselves. They will damage their family. They will damage their shareholders for this crazy belief system that they hold dear. And so that's where we have to push back. You have to use every power that you have in government to say, listen, no, our kids are not for sale. We're not going to go give our kids away because a vendor wants to come in here and pressure us to do something. We're not going to give our kids away to the teachers unions. We're not going to give our kids away to some woke atheist law firm. We're getting sued left and right from these atheist law firms from out of state. And our answer is no. You know, we're not going to back down out of fear of being sued by you all. You see this being a new weapon by the left being utilized. And we've got to see states fight back. You can win. Most Oklahomans, I've gotten so much correspondence from Oklahomans around the state thanking me for driving out these woke vendors. And again, our left-wing media, they cry about it. Oh my goodness, I can't believe, you know, that textbook companies are leaving. Well, most Oklahomans are going, if they're woke, see you later.
Yeah.
Get out of the state. And you've got to continue to push an agenda that brings good, principled, conservative values back to your state.
Yeah, I mean, just tell those left-wing groups, take a number. If you want to sue us, take a number. Wait in line. Final question for you, Superintendent Walters. How can other states find out what you're doing? Because this is a collaborative effort, the governor, the legislature, yourself. How can they find out more about how they might be able to replicate what's happening in the Sooner State?
I appreciate that. We're very active, by the way, on social media. So Ryan Walters, Superintendent, on Twitter, on Facebook. We really try to push out a lot of what we're doing. We also have a lot of our bigger plans on our website. So oksde.edu, so they can come there as well, and ryanwaltersforoklahoma.com. So we really try to push those things out there. But again, we're leading the country in this. We have a game plan. We have a path forward to put parents back in charge of their kids' education, put God and prayer back in schools, drive the teachers' unions out. And again, this path, we just launched the biggest tutoring initiative in the nation today to get our kids back on track with reading. You can do these things, but you have to beat back the union, the woke ideology, embrace parents, and again, protect religious liberty in our schools. And we can get education back on track. We can get our states and our country back on track if we embrace those ideals moving forward in education.
Yep, and get it back to like it was when I was in high school there in Oklahoma, back when we actually taught reading, writing, and math. Ryan, always great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us, and keep up the great work in Oklahoma.